If you have ever eaten protein powder and added it to maybe some yogurt or made yourself a smoothie or a shake and ended up with gas or bloating or plain old nausea, you are not alone. Today we're going to dive into a topic that I get very often, which is what is the best protein powder for a sensitive stomach? So today I'm going to break it down for you and share a few different options for protein powders that will leave you feeling energized and ready to go with your day instead of feeling nauseous and gassy. But first, my name is Marcy Vasky and I'm a licensed nutritionist with Fluso Nutrients. And at Fluso Nutrients, we work very hard to educate you on different types of supplements so that you can make an informed decision about what's best for you. Now, of course, if you have questions, you'll want to speak with a supplement literate practitioner just to make sure that any supplement we talk about or that you choose is not going to be contraindicated with any other supplements you're taking or medications. So without further ado, let's dig back into today's topic, which is what is the best protein powder for sensitive stomachs? So we hear all the time how great it is to add in protein powders and it adds just extra protein in your day and they're kind of tasty and you can make a lot of amazing things with them. But the question kind of comes in is, why are they so hard to digest? So for people with sensitive guts that maybe have IBS or maybe you're dealing with SIBO or even leaky gut, some of the protein powders on the market today are filled with fillers, and specific proteins themselves can be more irritating to a sensitive gut. So I'm just going to run through some of the usual culprits that tend to give sensitive guts a run for their money. One of them is going to be whey protein. In addition to whey protein, also casein. Now, these are especially hard to digest for people who have sensitive guts and if they're not in an isolate form. Another culprit can be sugar alcohols. And sugar alcohols like xylitol or erythritol can cause a lot of bloating and gas. Of course, there's the real common denominator that's in a lot of protein powders if you're not looking closely, is artificial sugars and gums. So artificial sugars like sucralose can create a lot of digestive upset in addition to gums such as xanthan gum or even guar gum. And then sometimes protein powders will even have high FODMAP fillers such as inulin or even chicory root. And both of these, while can be really helpful for some people, for people with sensitive guts, we should steer clear of that kind of thing. So here are my top 3 best protein powders if you're struggling with IBS, SIBO, leaky gut, or any gut issue where you're just a little more sensitive. Number 1, you want to look for something possibly that is organic pea and rice protein isolate. Now, plant proteins do have a tendency to be a little bit harder to digest, but if you're getting it in the isolate form, it's much more clean and pure. Therefore, they're more easily tolerated as well if you're making sure that within that protein powder there aren't any additional gums or, as I talked about, artificial sweeteners. So particularly on those types of protein powders, the smaller the ingredient list, the better. So you're looking just for the type of protein that's in there. There may be a flavoring if you do like vanilla. You may see like vanilla bean in there, which is totally fine. But you want to really take a look at those gums, any kind of additional sugars, so we want to make sure that there's no sugar alcohols or, as I said a moment ago, artificial sugars. If you find a protein powder that is good in that, like the list is really short, that protein powder in pea and rice isolate may be just what you're looking for. Now, all the protein powders that I talk about today, I'm going to list 3 different options down below. And as I go through this, not everybody's going to be able to tolerate protein powder in general. You play around with it a little bit just to find which one works best for you. Now, the next protein powder that I'm going to talk about is beef protein powder. And sometimes when I say this to clients, they're like, "What did you say?" Yes, it kind of surprises you, but beef protein powder is oftentimes very well tolerated with people with sensitive gut. Beef protein powder is actually made from the muscle of beef. It's a complete protein and is much better tolerated than whey protein. And just like the pea and rice protein powder that I just spoke about a moment ago, again, you want to make sure the list of ingredients is low. So it lists the protein and maybe a flavoring in terms of vanilla or maybe cocoa powder if you've gotten a chocolate one. But just be really smart about leaving that list small. The less ingredients, the better it is, and the more tolerated it will be for your gut. Now, another protein powder that is oftentimes pretty well tolerated for people is going to be the bone broth protein powders. These, as you may have heard of, is just bone broth in general, how good it is for your digestive system because it's filled with collagen and tons of nutrients. Now we have bone broth protein powder, which can be very supportive, very gentle on the gut. Bone broth protein powder is naturally anti-inflammatory, does contain a lot of collagen, and is high in glutamine and proline. This is going to be great for leaky gut and healing of the intestinal tract. And as I said with the other two protein powders, finding one that's ingredient list is very small, without artificial sugars, without gums, you're going to be able to tolerate this much easier. I think sometimes when we're looking at protein powders, we get lost in all the amazing things that are listed on the back. Now, especially if there's something called a proprietary blend, I would steer very far away from that. Not necessarily that it's bad, but we don't really know what's in it. And if you have a sensitive stomach, you probably don't want to tackle that one right off the starting gate. Now, again, making sure your ingredients list is low is going to be a tip on encouraging that you have a good protein powder, and also watching out for those fibers such as inulin or chicory root. Those can really create a lot of gas and bloating, and sometimes they're in the laundry list of things on the back of the label, and we don't always pick up on them. So this is always why I'm pushing toward, and I've said it a lot of times in this video so far, the shorter the ingredients list, the much better it's going to be. You don't need to have 87 different minerals and vitamins loaded into it, and prebiotics and probiotics and all the things. It's not necessary. Getting a really clean protein powder is going to be more beneficial on your gut. And then by eating and adding like fruits and maybe veggies to your smoothie, there you're going to get those antioxidants and those fibers. So just be pretty mindful about what you're doing. And I love protein powder. It can be an absolute great way to get extra protein in your very busy day when you don't have time to maybe make some meat for dinner or even your lunch. You just feel like you're getting inadequate amounts of protein. Protein powders can be really helpful in encouraging more protein in the diet. However, going really slow, incorporating it, trying different kinds of protein powders, and keeping that ingredients list strong or low will be very beneficial to you finding what works best for you. So my top 3 protein powders were the pea and rice protein isolate, the beef protein powder, and then bone broth protein. Again, I'm going to list or give you links to those 3 different types of protein powders that are clean and can be very helpful to just setting you up for a good protein powder experience. So I hope this video today was helpful for you, just to kind of give you some guidelines on what you should be looking for, and maybe even those few ingredients in the protein powders that we're not always aware of may be an issue. So until next time, happy protein powder shopping.